Let's talk about sports. Nothing but sports for a Monday. The snow, it's almost gone. Our long winter nightmare, virtually over. We're brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. Today, call Today's Dentistry. Make an appointment to see the best dentist I've ever seen. That's Dr. Mike O'Neill. Makes you real comfortable in the chair. That's a good thing. We don't like pain associated with dentistry. At Today's Dentistry, that is the way they do business. 317-849-2933. Let's talk about the Final Four. We got Texas Tech, we got Michigan State, we've got Auburn, and we've got Virginia. I think Virginia wins it all. They're the only one seed left. I picked Virginia to win. I did it more because of math and investment than I did any other reason. So there you go. If Virginia and Michigan State play in the final game, I win money because that's who I've got playing in the final game. Good for me. I hope you were as smart as I was. Let's talk about the Purdue Boilermakers a little bit. Purdue, what is Carsen Edwards going to do? Is he going to come back? Is he going to play his senior season at Purdue? If he does, he is the odds-on favorite to be the college basketball player of the year. There's almost no doubt about that. What a great NCAA tournament he just concluded in that thrilling loss. And yeah, losses can be thrilling. Thrilling loss to Virginia. How about this? Carsen Edwards, 42 points in the regional final, were the fourth most in a regional final in NCAA history, behind Clyde Levelette, Willie Smith of Missouri, Oscar Robertson, and then it's Carsen Edwards and Bo Kimball tied for fourth. How about this? Carsen Edwards scored 139 points in the 2019 NCAA tournament, the most for a player in 4 or fewer games in the tournament since Bo Kimball had 143 for Loyola Marymount in 1990. He is behind Austin Carr, who is just unbelievable in 1970. He scored 158 points in 3 games. Jerry Chambers of Utah in 1966, Bo Kimball, Clyde Levelette, and Gail Goodrich with 140. He's tied with Bob Halbriggs of Washington from 1953. Also, he has scored 224 points in 10 NCAA tournament games, the 10th most points scored by a player in 10 or fewer NCAA tournament games. He is behind the Big O, Bill Bradley, Austin Carr, Jerry West, Sean Elliott, Gail Goodrich, Rip Hamilton, Tom Gola, and Cassie Russell. Are you kidding me? What a nice neighborhood to be in. Carsen Edwards, he has scored 25 or more points in 5 consecutive NCAA tournament games, the 4th longest streak in NCAA tournament history. Jerry West with 8, Adrian Dantley with 6, Austin Carr with 6. He's tied with Steph Curry, Glenn Rice, and Gail Goodrich. Wow. Another nice neighborhood. Those 5 career 25-point games in the NCAA tournament, they're 13 most all-time in NCAA tournament play. His 2 career 40-point games in the NCAA tournament are the 3rd most by a player in NCAA tournament history, behind 5, Austin Carr, man. 1970, 1971, he was unbelievable. And then 3, Bill Bradley. Edwards averaged 34.8 points per game, the 8th highest scoring average in NCAA tournament history, with a minimum of 3 games, again behind Austin Carr in 1970 and 71. Jerry Chambers in 1966, Bo Kimball, Clyde Levelette, Jerry West, Gail Goodrich. And then he made 28 three-pointers in the NCAA tournament, the most by a player in a single NCAA tournament in the event's history. The next closest players that played just 4 games are Loyola Marymount's Jeff Fryer in 1990 and Davidson's Steph Curry in 2008 with 23. From a school perspective, he has now scored far more points in the NCAA tournament than anybody in Purdue history, breaking a 3-way tie. How about this? 161. That tie was shared by Juwan Johnson, Joe Barry Carroll, and Brian Cardinal. Carsen Edwards is at 224. Just unbelievable. Great work by Carsen Edwards. Great work by the Boilermakers. If he comes back, what a group they are going to have, right? Ryan Klein and Grady Eifert, they're both going to graduate. Everybody else comes back. Things look very, very bright for Purdue's basketball program. So close to go into the Final Four. But you know what? I think this is the beginning of a really nice run in the NCAA tournament by the Purdue Boilermakers. By the way, they had also gone to the Sweet 16 the last couple of years, so maybe that run began a little bit ago. But Purdue playing really good basketball. It's a shame we're not going to see them this weekend. Let's talk about Indiana basketball. How about that? Romeo Langford on mock drafts. He is anywhere from 8th down to 21st. There are a bunch of mock drafts that you can check out. You can take a look at where Romeo is. Does it make sense for Romeo to go? Should he stay? I think he's gone. His family, you know what? Whether they need the money or not, is there anything to gain by having Romeo Langford stay for his sophomore season and not start the clock toward that extension that comes at the end of 4 years and that max money that comes at the end of 7? If Romeo winds up being as good as a lot of people think, he's going to make a ton of money in the NBA. Better to start that clock early rather than later. I think it'd be great for him in his development as a human being and a development as a basketball player to stay at Indiana for another year, continue to play ball there, continue to develop there. Once you get to the NBA, that's grown-ass man time. And I am unsure right now whether Romeo is ready to play with a bunch of grown-ass men. As far as Juwan Morgan, he is not showing on any draft board. Any mock draft, 1 through 60, there is no mention of Juwan Morgan's name. He's a guy who played an undersized 5 in college. Is he going to be able to play the 4? Is he going to be able to play the 3 in the NBA? Can he shoot like a 3? He seems like a guy who's kind of a tweener sort of guy. He doesn't shoot well enough necessarily, at least not right now, to play the 3 in the NBA. Might have to go overseas, might have to play in the G League. We'll see what happens with Juwan Morgan. As far as transfers go, as of this minute, we know that Clifton Moore and VJ Blackman are going to transfer out. VJ, not a scholarship guy, so there's no scholarship relief from Blackman leaving. But with Clifton Moore, there is. So that's an additional scholarship for Archie Miller, either to put in his pocket or to utilize during this offseason. There are loads of rumors around that Archie is going to cut loose a good number of players on this team, go get a couple of grad-eligible transfers, maybe a guy like Joey Brunk, a couple of incoming freshmen to, join Armand Franklin and Trace Jackson Davis. We'll see what they do. I don't worry about that stuff. I don't get into the rumors until they become fact. Because like I was saying with somebody at lunch today, until you have an offer, you just got an empty hand, right? And so for Indiana, we don't know. Rumors do not necessarily convey to fact. And until they become a fact, we don't really worry too much about it. We'll see what Indiana does. All right, let's talk a little bit about Tom Izzo and Michigan State basketball. Because Tom Izzo on social media, regular media, took an absolute beating a couple of weeks ago because he teed up, not literally, but yelled at Aaron Henry for not playing hard. Yelled at him, berated him, pointed at him, kind of gave him a point in the chest. And people got upset. And they said, hey, this is not the way you treat people. Well, you know what? He treated Aaron Henry like that. And what has happened as a result? Michigan State is going to Minneapolis, while a bunch of other teams aren't. And you know who's not complaining? The players at Michigan State, the fans at Michigan State, the administration at Michigan State, who understand that every once in a while, a kid has got to be shamed a little bit for not playing hard. And if you're not going to play hard, he never took him out of the game during that period of time. He yelled at him, put him back out there, and you know what happened? Aaron Henry all of a sudden found another gear. He was able to play hard as a result of being disciplined and being held accountable by Tom Izzo. That is how you lead. That is how you coach. But you know what? Some guys do it without it, and that's fine. You've got to be emotionally honest with kids. And for Tom Izzo to be emotionally honest, there it is. Transparency right there. He gets upset. He gets rid of the upset. Everybody sees it. Nobody has to think, I wonder what he's thinking about me. I wonder what his opinion is of me. Those guys at Michigan State, they never wonder about that stuff. At Michigan State, it's right out there for everybody to see. He is not going to be shamed into behaving in a way that is dishonest, at least according to the way he would behave. And that is good leadership. Aaron Henry has benefited from it, as have a bunch of guys who have played at Michigan State. So Tom Izzo going to the Final Four and yelling about it, arguing about it, casting him as some kind of demon, some kind of ill-tempered kook, is not accurate. He's a hell of a good basketball coach, and he's going to the Final Four again. He hadn't won a national championship since 2000, but he's got a shot this year. The Indiana Pacers, they got the Pistons tonight at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. That game time, 7 o'clock tonight. So they play against the Pistons tonight at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Then they go to Detroit to play the Pistons again. And then Friday night at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, they've got the Boston Celtics. That game at 8 o'clock. Please don't show up at like 6:30. Get there, think, okay, we're going to see the beginning of basketball is imminent. No, it is not. It's going to start at 8 o'clock because it's an ESPN game. And at this point, Indiana and Boston, they're tied for that 4th overall spot in the Eastern Conference. And that's a big deal because the 4th seed is going to play that same. Those two are going to be the 4th and the 5th seed almost certainly. And so you've got the Pacers and the Celtics. Who wants home court advantage enough to kind of go balls to the wall the last 5 games of the regular season and find a way to get that done? If it's the Pacers, I think they got a good shot at beating the Celtics. The Celtics are kind of foundering a little bit. Kyrie Irving calling out Brad Stevens last week, all that ugliness. I think the Celtics are trying to find themselves. The Pacers, they're trying to hang on. I think they're kind of exhausted. I got to tell you the truth. They really dug deep during that West Coast trip, almost beating the Clippers, probably should have beaten the Clippers. There was another game that was close, and the Pacers took an opponent right to the end. They didn't get those games done, and I think now without Victor Oladipo carrying the load that he would carry had he not torn his quad tendon, I think things are going to be a little bit difficult for the Indiana Pacers moving forward. But with these 5 games left, I think they got a shot at that 4th seed, and if they get it, you know what? In the playoffs, you don't play any back-to-back. You have recovery time after every game, and maybe the Pacers can find a way to get their mojo back. We shall see. Friday night, I think we're going to know at that point what the deal is. If the Pacers can win these 2 against Detroit and then finish that little run this week by beating the Boston Celtics, I think they got a really good chance of being the 4 seed. And if they're the 4 seed, I think they got a good chance of winning that series. Rick Byrd, the coach at Belmont, announced his retirement today. He's leaving Belmont after 33 years there. He's won over 800 games, an absolutely terrific basketball coach who established a culture at Belmont, recruited to that culture, succeeded with that culture. Really good dude, really good coach. He said, for the past 33 years, it's been my privilege to work with and for a remarkable community of men and women at Belmont University. Throughout my tenure as men's basketball coach, our program has received great support from Belmont's administration, faculty, staff, and students. For this, I am forever grateful. Personally, I have been the beneficiary of a very supportive family, blah, blah, blah. You know all that stuff. That's what coaches say when they decide to go do something else. We wish Rick Byrd all kinds of fun during his retirement. You know what else we got? We got April Fool's Day today. And people, like, there used to be a time when April Fool's Day was cool. And people would do things as an April Fool's joke, maybe a little bit mean-spirited, but a little bit clever too, and they were fun and enjoyable, and now it's just stuff. I mean, Twitter has dumbed us down to such an extent that people are tweeting things like John Calipari fired at Kentucky. Tom Brady faked his own retirement after joining Twitter. This is not clever. This is not interesting. I think we got to raise the bar in both cleverness and maybe just a little bit of mean-spiritedness. And I'll give you an example of mean-spiritedness, the kind of mean-spiritedness I'm talking about, which really isn't mean-spirited at all, okay? When I was at WIBC, here's what we would do every time April Fool's Day fell on a weekday. The morning news with Jeff Pigeon, Terry Stacy, Steve Simpson, what they would do
is put together an hour-and-a-half broadcast of a fake parade all year long when we would have celebrities in studio or via satellite where we had another couple of minutes after we went to commercials. We'd have the person stick around, and we would do a fake interview that would air during the parade as though they were on a float. We had a loop of kind of parade-type crowd noise. We would play that, and then we'd welcome people back. The Indy Spring Parade, a wonderful tradition in Indianapolis. We are at the corner of Durney and Lennon Streets right here in downtown Indy. And let's throw it to Terry Stacy. She's got a special visitor to our city. And we would play the recording of an interview with a celebrity, the mayor, the governor, Joan Rivers, somebody like that. And it would go on for an hour and a half between traffic, weather, newscasts. And so here's the mean-spirited part. People would call 239-1070 or call the switchboard and demand to know where this parade was. They wanted to see the parade. Such a group of celebrities had never been seen in any parade in the city of Indianapolis, including the 500 Festival Parade, and they wanted to go see. Well, of course, the parade wasn't actually happening, so we would say things like, well, it's at the corner of Durney and Lennon. It's on the east side of Indianapolis. Thank you for the call, and hang up. And that would happen literally 100, 200, 300 times during that morning show. People leaving voicemails for friends. If there had been social media back then, it would have been all over the place on social media, and it was fantastic. It was a great fool's thing. And so at 8:30 in the morning, we would say, you know what? Or Pidge would say, Happy April Fool's Day. Of course, there is no actual Indy Spring Parade. And we'd all have a big laugh, and we would do it every year, and people would respond the same way every year by calling and saying, hey, I want to come to the parade. Where can I go? Well, you got to go to the corner of Durney and Lennon. That's where it is, just like every year. Thanks for the call. And, of course, there was no Durney and Lennon, and people were disappointed. But that's fun. Right? They were fooled. And then at the end of it, we would tell people it was an April Fool's Day thing. And it was fantastic. That's a kind of, I'm not talking about pulling the chair out from under people and crap like that, doing things that, like filling somebody's house with popcorn or some kind of ridiculousness. This was mean-spirited, but also it didn't leave a mark. You know what I mean? There was no pain involved, either emotional or physical. It was just like, I'm such a dumbass. I can't believe I didn't remember. It's the greatest. That's fun. We had a great time. Anyway, let's raise our game on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you're going to do something April Fool's Day oriented, do it with some class, do it with some panache, do it with some cleverness, and do it with just a pinch of mean-spiritedness, right? That's the way we do things in Central Indiana, just a pinch. We are really, really nice. We are relentlessly nice. Got to be just a little bit mean-spirited, though, right? All right, that is sports, nothing but sports for a beautiful Monday here in Central Indiana. It's a little bit chilly out there, but the snow is melting, and we are very, very pleased. According to the weather geniuses, this weekend is supposed to be beautiful. Temperatures in the mid-60s. That's what we love. Go Pacers tonight. And then on Saturday, I don't know who you're rooting for. I'm rooting for Michigan State and Virginia because there's money in it for me. I would root for Michigan State anyway. That's Sports Nothing But Sports, brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. Give them a call, 317-849-2933.